Hello and welcome to gusmcdollgames, and thank you to our subscribers. I'm Nick McDowell, and today we're continuing the Allied Grand Campaign in Close Combat: A Bridge Too Far, a game based on the Battle of Arnhem Operation Marketgarden. In this series we use the missions in the Allied Grand Campaign to illustrate one or more aspects of World War II infantry minor tactics at the company level and below. Each episode we conduct basic mission analysis, develop and analyse possible courses of action, then decide and execute the plan in real time, followed by lessons learned. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And if you want to buy me a coffee, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In this episode, we're back in the Arnhem sector, the Oosterbeek area of operations. Our objective is to retain the Oosterbeek Landing Zone. It is Day 2 of Operation Marketgarden, 0600 hours on 18 September 1944. Oosterbeek Landing Zone. You must hold this area. The landing zone is your primary supply source until 30 Corps arrives. Your task will be difficult, as you will face increasingly large German forces and the terrain is very poor defensively. Brace for a large assault if Arnhem falls, as the Germans will get more troops and try to push you back to the river. Keep this area clear as long as possible. Do not let the Germans establish a foothold on your landing zone and staging area, or you will find your troops running low on ammo, food and morale. Let's examine our forces. I'm expecting a German armoured counterattack, so I'll need to add anti-tank capabilities to my airborne light infantry company. Airborne Bren teams are the core of the British Army. They use a light machine gun, bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. Use them on the front lines, but they should run or hide from tanks. Airborne rifle teams use bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a submachine gun. Use rifle teams on the front lines and to hold victory locations. They are useless against tanks. Airborne Piet, or projector infantry anti-tank teams, consist of an anti-tank bomb projector, a bolt-action rifle and hand grenades. Not as effective as a Panzerschreck, the Piet's effective range is 8 to 80 metres. The British airborne sniper is a specialist, trained in marksmanship. He is armed with a scoped Lee Enfield rifle. Put him in a location with good fields of fire so that he can eliminate enemy leaders. Airborne 6-pounder light anti-tank gun teams also contain rifles and grenades. Best used as an anti-tank weapon, this gun is also effective against infantry targets. Its high rate of fire makes up for its low armour penetration. Next, let's look at the map and do some mission analysis. I will develop a plan and then execute it in the game. Our mission is to retain the Oosterbeek Landing Zone. We have an understrength company from the British 1st Airborne Division consisting of 1 Bren light machine gun section, 3 rifle sections and a sniper, with a 3-inch medium mortar, Vickers heavy machine gun team, 2 Piet teams and a 6-pounder anti-tank gun in support. I have marked 6 areas of interest. Number 1, 2 single-storey buildings adjacent to a lightly wooded area I can use as a main line of resistance. Number 2, a 2-storey house that is an obvious place to put a machine gun position as it has great observation and lines of fire across the whole map. This also makes it an obvious target and focal point for the enemy. Number 3, a field behind a hedge that provides a concealed approach into the rear of the landing zone position. Number 4, water-filled ditches and hedged fields that afford a forming up point and covered approach for an attack. Number 5, the landing zone, an area of open ground that I am defending with little cover and concealment. And number 6, a hedged field that could also be a forming up point for an attack. From this position, the enemy could cover the entire landing zone with observation and fire. I assess the enemy will mount a company-sized attack to retake the landing zone and cut me off from supplies and reinforcements. Given the presence of a Panzer Division in the area, I must expect an armoured counterattack with tanks and infantry. The enemy's most likely course of action is a company attack from a forming up point in the hedged field, concentrating all their combat power into a main effort on a narrow front. The infantry would cross the field, supported by tanks in the open fields of the landing zone. An attack here would be screened from the rest of the map by the buildings and the wooded areas on either side. Once in possession of this area, the enemy could dominate the whole map, keep my forces under observation and fire, and interfere with resupply and reinforcement to the Arnhem sector. The enemy's most dangerous course of action is a right flanking attack. The tanks would fire and move through the gaps between the trees and the 2-storey house. Meanwhile, their main effort would use the covered approach to outflank the 2-storey building and get into the rear of the defensive position. This would make the position untenable for me, force me to retreat, and prevent resupply and reinforcement to the entire Arnhem sector. As part of my planning, I need to understand the enemy's likely avenues of approach and integrate natural obstacles into my defensive plan. The lines on the map indicate terrain that is impassable or difficult for vehicles, such as the hedges, ditches, tree lines, and buildings. This terrain channels or canalises vehicle movement along certain routes, which we can target. The question marks indicate the likely places where the tanks will break into my position from the landing zone. From this, I've identified 2 engagement areas in which I can best target the tanks. I've chosen to place my 6-pounder anti-tank gun in the position indicated near the top of the map. I have assigned it a primary mission shooting down the road into Engagement Area 1 and a secondary mission shooting across the field into Engagement Area 2. This position has a couple of benefits for me. First, my gun can cover both engagement areas with minimal traverse. Second, the gun is screened by the trees and buildings from enemy observation and fire into its flanks and can only be seen and engaged along its own sightlines. Third, it is in a depth position, screened by my infantry. Remember, guns kill tanks, tanks kill infantry, and infantry kill guns. The rest of the company will occupy similar positions to the last time we defended Oosterbeek, but with a couple of changes. I've pulled back my section's standing patrol on my left flank, so it is better covered by the Vickers machine gun and more integrated into my defensive line. And I've attached a PIAT team to each platoon as a nasty surprise for the enemy in case my gun is disabled and the tanks enter my position. Commanders must always coordinate the system of anti-tank defence within their areas, so that all available means of defence weapons, mines, and obstacles, both natural and artificial, may be used as effectively and economically as possible. We have 30 minutes to achieve our objectives. I will now move my troops into position and execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action and if you have identified a viable alternative. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. I immediately locate enemy infantry in the ditches and a Mark IV tank dominating the landing zone. The tank is 290 metres from my gun, but there is no clear line of sight. Once again, the enemy is pursuing the most dangerous course of action. My troops remain concealed. I want the enemy to attack before I reveal my positions. The enemy commences mortar fire against my gun, and I am immediately thankful for the PIAT teams. The Mark IV Panzer moves towards EA1. I really want a clear shot at the tank before a mortar round finds its target. Could this be the moment? No, it stubbornly remains behind the woods. The panzer opens fire. It is engaging second platoon in the woods, but with inconclusive results. The Germans capture both landing zones, but the battle is just beginning. A mortar round lands near the anti-tank gun, causing a casualty. Lanzbombardier Gavini is dead, and the detachment commander panicking. I'm really starting to sweat. I want that shot.
We're under heavy fire.
On my left flank, I spot a reserve squad and machine gun squad advancing. I hold fire for now until I have dealt with the tank, but my mortar is not so constrained and opens a fire mission on the troops in the open. The 6-pounder also joins in.
Move completed.
The Mark IV again teases me by approaching EA1. I am so close to getting that shot. But he thinks better of it at the last minute. The tension rises. The tank skirts the edge of the woods. The woods objective falls to some unseen enemy infantry moving towards my main line of resistance. The tank turns in and starts moving towards EA2. Is this my chance, or will he pull back at the last moment? And then I have my shot. Target, tank, 150, AP, load. On, ready, fire. Hits at 144 meters, but doesn't knock it out. Load. Ready, fire. A miss. Load. The tank pops smoke and starts to move away. Ready. Fire. Yes! My first tank kill of the campaign goes to a British Airborne 6-pounder anti-tank gun. The crew bails out and runs away. Meanwhile, the Vickers and Section Standing Patrol repel a close assault by the reserve squad. With the tank destroyed, the battle will be a strictly infantry affair. Nothing to stop the Vickers now, which targets the Sturmgrenadier squad in the open. I also spot a machine gun squad. The German mortar belatedly drops smoke in front of my anti-tank gun, but it is too late. My mortar targets the infantry in the open. The Germans start taking casualties. A Panzerschreck squad approaches the Bren section hidden in the farmhouse and is knocked out.
Area secured.
Then a massive explosion as Sturmgrenadier attack the farmhouse, and Corporal Cup from the Bren section becomes a casualty. First platoon is under pressure.
Area secured.
I move second platoon into the fight to reinforce. On my left flank, the Germans are attacking in the open under rifle, machine gun and mortar fire. They are pinned and taking casualties.
We're under heavy fire. Move completed. We're under heavy fire.
Back at the farmhouse, the Sturmgrenadier are at half strength. Experience suggests they will fight to the death.
Grenade. Nailed them.
But two unexpectedly surrender. My mortar targets a second Sturmgrenadier squad in the woods.
Get me out!
The machine gun is retreating.
We're under heavy fire. Move
The Vickers targets an MG42 team in the open, and the rifle section joins in.
Can't go there. Move completed.
The team takes a casualty, and the remaining member withdraws. My focus now shifts to ejecting the Sturmgrenadier from the woods.
Take cover!
My Vickers takes a casualty. I move my sniper forward to get a better firing position.
Pick up your weapon.
Move completed.
A Granatwerfer squad breaks cover from landing zone 1, crawling towards the woods to join in the infantry fight. Fearless, but foolish.
Conserve ammunition.
Entdeckung!
The Sturmgrenadier squad gets its second wind and starts towards the farmhouse.
Ammo. Move completed.
We're pinned down.
Herr Oberst!
It loses its leader. It takes more casualties.
Move completed. Move completed.
Hol mich hier raus!
I'm targeting them with everything I have. Even the Piat joins in. Next, someone will throw a kitchen sink from the farmhouse.
Das Blut!
Another Piat, a kitchen sink, and the squad is down to one member. The Granatwerfer squad breaks cover.
Das Blut! Das Blut!
Their grenades eliminate the remainder of my rifle squad.
Sergeant!
More grenades kill Sergeant McLaren.
We're under heavy fire.
Area secured.
Their battle is lost, but they just never give up.
Area secured.
Hand-to-hand fighting ensues to retake the farmhouse. The battle ends with a shot from the sniper.
Scharfschützen!
The battle ended because the Germans were routed from the map. The Allies gained control of the area, but the Germans are expected to launch a counterattack later. The German forces took excessive losses. I have made Allied progress of 80 against expected progress of 60 by the end of the day. I suffered 12 casualties and inflicted 36 casualties on the enemy, including 1 tank destroyed and 1 soldier captured. We will not fight them here again this day. Let's examine casualties on both sides. First, the British. Most of my casualties were suffered in the hard fighting around the farmhouse, including Corporal Cupp's section, Sergeant McLaren, and Corporal McLaughlin's section. I also suffered casualties in one of the Piat teams, the 6-pounder, and the Vickers machine gun. Gunner Mayhew on the 6-pounder knocked out the first German tank of the campaign, as well as engaging enemy infantry, and is awarded the Military Cross. Bravo Zulu. But it was again the Vickers that dealt most of the damage to the enemy. Then the Germans. Once again, elements of the 9th Panzer Division fought almost to the last man. They lost 3 Sturmgrenadier squads, an MG-42, a reserve squad, a Mark IV tank, a Schwerer's machine gun, a Granatwerfer, and a Panzerschreck team. So, what did we learn? First, the placement of the anti-tank gun was ideal. There were some nail-biting moments waiting for the tank to come into view, and then for the gun to knock out the tank on the 3rd shot. Of course, it could have all gone wrong if the enemy mortar had landed a more accurate round. But the tank was canalised by terrain, just as I predicted, and was knocked out in a planned engagement area by a gun shielded by terrain from enemy direct observation and fire. Doctrine in action. Second, an improve. For the 2nd battle in a row, the farmhouse became the focus for the infantry battle. I will need to continue to reinforce and support this position, which I am beginning to belatedly recognise as the real decisive terrain on this map. Third, a fix for the Germans. I know I say never to give up, and this is very true, but that does not mean reinforcing failure. It was bad enough attacking over open ground, again, but throwing a medium mortar team into a close quarters battle already lost gained little. Sometimes it is better to withdraw and consolidate, reassess the situation, and find a better way to achieve the mission. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.